So making a zine seems kind of intimidating. Even though it may seem like a lot, I think the most important step that you have to take when you want to make a zine is to just start. So I made an original character zine, and going into this, I had a lot of thoughts like, oh, but maybe my art isn't good enough yet, or I haven't developed these characters enough yet for me to make a zine like this. I don't think I'm ready, but let me tell you something. I think the day that you're waiting for is probably never gonna come. You're always gonna have room to grow and to improve, and there's always more things that you could do better or more things you could have drawn. But the most important step in starting a project like this is to actually just get off your butt and start. Your zine will not end up being perfect, but that's not the point of it. Like, it's supposed to be a fun collection of artwork, and that is something anyone can make at any point in their artistic journey. So don't worry too much about that. So this year I tried making my own zine for the first time, and I completed it in under 3 weeks. So I learned a lot throughout this process, and I wanted to share my experience of making this with you guys because I think it's not as hard as it looks, and if you're somebody who likes drawing, I think it's definitely worth trying to make your own zine as well. And later in the video, I also want to show you guys how you can set up your files for printing. So I'll put a timestamp to that here somewhere, but yeah, let's talk about zines. If you don't know me yet, I'm Yanni, and this year I started tabling at conventions, and for one of them, I wanted to make a zine and bring it to sell in Artist Alley, which ended up becoming this. So I started this project about a month before the con, so I had less than 4 weeks to completely make the zine and finish it. So I was on kind of a tight deadline. So since I had a month before the convention, I had about 3 weeks to finish all the art and then send it off to get printed so that I would have it in time to take with me to the con. So I finished all of the art and the print files in 3 weeks. And to start off, I decided on like a scope for this project. So how many pages I wanted to have in there, and I think I decided on 20. The final zine ended up being 24 pages. If you're going to make a zine like mine that is stapled in the middle, your page number will always have to be divisible by 4, since one sheet of paper will give you 4 pages. So I started with 20, and then I ended up having enough content for 24 pages, so I just extended that when I set up my print file. That's like, I think, a good way to start off. So pick like a page amount that you think is definitely feasible for you. You don't have to go super big. Like, you could also start off with 8 pages or something like that. There's no need to overwhelm yourself immediately. I think it's good to not plan too much or give yourself too much work that you're going to end up feeling overwhelmed. So for me, that was like something doable and realistic. And then I got started on drawing. If you want to make a zine, you're probably going to pick a theme. For me, it was like my original characters. So I decided that anything goes. I would just put in illustrations, concept sketches, and some like background information on the characters, and anything goes. So I gave myself a very like relaxed theme that I could work with. You can really pick anything, you know? You could also make like a fan art zine of a fandom you like, or it could even contain like a short story or a comic. It's really up to you. You can be very creative with this. Something that can help you guide you along with creating the content for your zine is figuring out like what you want to have in there, maybe section wise. So for me, I started out with like a little introductory page. Then I put in some full color illustrations and moved on to showing off more concept work and sketches, and like some more funny, silly stuff in the second half. You can really structure it any way you want to, but having a structure set up beforehand can really be helpful. So what you could do is like draw out some thumbnails of like your page spreads and be like, okay, I want this to go here, and maybe it would be cool to put a page like that here. And that way you can sort of like fill out a little plan for your zine beforehand. You can also totally freestyle it and put whatever, but if you want a little bit more direction and structure, I think that's a good way to go about it. At least that's how I did it. I sort of like planned out these spreads and was like, okay, which pages would look good next to each other? The next thing that you're probably gonna want to think about is your cover. So I thought about using one of my already existing illustrations for the front and back cover, but I wasn't really happy with any of those, so I decided to make something completely from scratch. You can see the illustration here is one connected image. So I started out making 2 separate drawings that I then put onto one larger canvas, like 2 A4 pages next to each other, and then combined them to make them like flow into each other, just to make sure that they would work on their own separately on the front and the back page. I can insert the drawing process here somewhere. And that was pretty fun. I also, while drawing this, sort of decided on a title for the zine. It's called 3.5. The background lore here is that together these two characters have 3.5 wings, because the angel only has one full angel wing, and then this guy just has two regular ones, so it's like 3.5. It's them. I thought that was kind of cute. So yeah, picking a title is also something that you can definitely do. You don't have to, but I think it's just a really cool way to give your project a name. You can also start off with like a working title, be like, this is, for now, we're just gonna call this the OC zine while you work on it, and then later on you can, you know, give it a more finalized name. And once you figured out the content of your zine, it's time to prepare for printing. So you could either print your zine at home, or you could outsource it to a printer, which is what I did. And what's important here is that you set up your files correctly, especially if you print and staple your zine at home. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So on my InDesign file, you can see all of the pages are set up in the correct order from the front cover to page 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But in order to actually print these pages and have them end up in the correct order when we fold and staple all of our pages together, the page order will have to be altered. And there is actually a really simple way to do this on InDesign. So you click on File, then Print Booklet. And here you get a dialog window with a couple of options. So we're going to select our booklet type. I'm using the 2-up saddle stitch. There's also a couple other options, but this is the type of zine that I made. For print preset, you can just pick default. And as you can see in the preview, we already have a little warning sign here, so we're gonna click on that. And you can see that my current setup does not fit the paper size that I have selected. So we're going to go to print settings, click on setup, and reorient the page. So we're going to rotate 90 degrees like this. And I also have my file set up on an A3 page. So when you actually fold it, the final format size will be A4. So I need to select A3 here. But if you're making an A5 booklet, make sure to set up your document to A4. But since this one is A3, I'm going to select that. And now you can see the pages fit. And you can also see that there are numbers displayed on all of the pages, so you know which is which. So we have page 24 and number 1 here, page 2 and 23, page 4 and 21, and so on. And now we're pretty much done. So I'm going to click print. You can name your document here, and I'm going to click save. And here we have the final print-ready PDF of the zine. So if you want to print your zine at home, it's really important that you set up your document correctly so that all of the pages actually end up where they're supposed to in the final product. If you're going to outsource your project to a different printer, they might ask you to just provide a PDF that has the order of page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, and they will just do the document setup for you. It kind of depends on where you go, but you can usually check like on the website or ask them how they want you to provide your print files. But if you're gonna do this at home, make sure that the print file is set up correctly. As I mentioned, I did this in InDesign, and I've only ever done this in InDesign. There are also other programs you can use, like Publisher, for example. I'm sure you could even find a way to do this in Word or other text programs like Google Docs or something, if you find a couple of workarounds to really get your correct page order set up. But this is definitely, I think, the most, or one of the most convenient ways to do it. And I hope that was helpful. And that's how I made my zine. I think I printed around 35 copies of this, and I ended up selling out of them at the last con that I attended, so that was really exciting, and I'm looking forward to making another one next year. I'm already planning it, but I want it to be a little bit like larger in scale, so I'm probably not going to be able to crank it out in just 3 weeks. It's kind of crazy looking back on it, but I think it really gave me the push that I needed to actually realize this project. And I know people work really differently, so maybe for you it's good to like sit down and really do it bit by bit, but for me I was like, I needed that push to finally get myself to make this, and I'm so happy I did. So yeah, it's really honestly super simple. It's not like a fancy book, it's just like slightly thicker paper on the cover and then stapled, so you could really easily make one of these at home or print it somewhere else. And the best thing is that at the end of it, you get to hold a final product like this in your hand that you can actually flip through. You know, you can give it to other people as a gift, or sell it at conventions, or like online, like I did. You could also make your zine available for download, like a digital copy. I have a friend who did that recently, and I thought it was really cool as well. So you don't have to do it physical, though I do really love print media, so I recommend like at least printing one copy for yourself if you're gonna do this. I hope you guys found this informative, interesting. This is really just my own experience and what I did, but if you do end up making one after watching this video, I would love to see it. You can tag me on Instagram if you want, but yeah. That's the zine video. Bye bye.